Hi everybody, it's Dawn Fisher from Morning Glory Needleworks. It's my third FlossTube video. Welcome, welcome. And I want to thank everybody who subscribed and commented and liked my channel. I really appreciate it. So it's the 1st of February and we've got a lot to go over, so let's get started. So in the last FlossTube video, I talked about going to a flea market. So on Martin Luther King Day, we drove up to Webster, Florida, to the Webster's West Side Flea Market, which is every Monday. It's about an hour and 20-minute drive from where we live in St. Petersburg. And let me tell you, it was cold and windy that day. All you people up north may laugh, but it was in the low 50s. And if you're not used to that kind of weather, it was chilly and it was very, very windy. I had on a t-shirt or a long sleeve shirt, a sweater, and a hoodie. So, and I was a little chilly, but it warmed up and then it was fine. This is a picture from the Webster West Side Flea Market itself. So I did not go up in the air and take a picture of it, but this can give you an idea of how big it is. Part of it's undercover. You can see back here, part of it's undercover. A lot of it isn't. We tend to go more toward the fields. And it actually, when it gets really big, like on Martin Luther King Day, when we went, which is the busiest time, their busiest day of the year, they actually had expanded across the street. So there's a 2-lane highway over on the right side of the picture actually, and there was more vendors over there. So we did go over there too. There wasn't as many vendors as there is sometimes, but it was a full day. We stayed about 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours. I walked 8,000 steps, 3 miles, and only sat down once. So my legs were pretty sore the next day. So here's a few more pictures I took. This just shows you the crowds. It was pretty busy. It was fun. We had a really good time. We hadn't been in a while. And I didn't get much, but we're going to talk about the few things I did pick up. And here Jeffrey and his little scooter he rented. So, and it looks like he's bald, but he's not. Looks like there's a little bald spot on his head, but he's not. Anyway, but it was a good time. And we really enjoyed it. You can see it was very dark and overcast. It did not rain. Luckily, when the sun did come out, it warmed up a little bit. But in the meanwhile, it got a little cold out there. So anyway, that was our trip to the flea market. And again, later on, I'm going to talk about some of the items we bought there. So the next fun thing I want to talk about is, on Sunday, January 30th, 2022, I attended a Zoom retreat with Acorns and Threads. They're from Portland, Oregon, and they had their Acorn Gathering 2022 over Zoom. And it was a lot of fun. I'd never been before. I'd heard of the store, but I've not been there because it is in Oregon. And the retreat, they featured the designer Cindy Young of Luhu Stitches, which I'd never heard of before, but she has a lot of cute designs. They showed a lot of her designs. This was a kit we got in the class or for the retreat to work on. We got the linen and threads to stitch this. There's going to be kits available with the felt, but it's a little squirrel. And he grabbed his nut and he's fallen out of the tree there. It's called All About the Acorn. So it was a lot of fun. That was the kit we got. And it came with all the threads, which are lovely. These beautiful, beautiful fall colors. Pretty colors. There's classic color works. There's Weeks Dye Works threads in here, plus DMC floss. And we got this beautiful linen. This is the start I have. That's a tree. That's the squirrel falling out of the tree. That's his tail and his butt. And that's what I got done while we were stitching, just stitching and listening to everything in the retreat. And as a first time attendee, I got this cute little name tag that I wore. And the nice thing is it's a magnet. So you don't have to stick it to your shirt. It just put the magnet on the inside and it holds it in place. We also got, I don't have it with me, a little 2022 charm to stitch on here. And every year you attend, you get a new charm and you can hang it, stitch it to your name tag. So that'll come in handy for some of the other retreats I go to. Everybody also received, which I'm in love with, this is a little scissor, or this one's a needle minder. It's got a magnet on it, works really good. And it says Acorn Gathering 2022. It's a little acorn. And then we also all got these cute little scissor fobs to hang, to attach to our scissors. Again, it says Acorn Gathering. So it was a lot of fun. I've attended a few other retreats, but this one was a little bit different. And it actually started at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which for me here in Florida was 1 p.m., which was great. And it ended at 3 p.m. Pacific time and 6 p.m. here in Florida. So it was a lot of fun. I got a little bit of stitching done. All attendees got a chance to show some of the things they were working on or their progress on this project, and just things they'd finished, huge projects, little projects, just a lot of fun. I talked about a new project I have that I'm going to be showing all of you today. So if you were at the retreat, you're going to find out more about the sampler that I'm reproducing. So, and each, what they did was each employee of Acorns and Threads talk about themselves. They showed a project they had recently finished and one they were currently working on. So if you dealt a lot with them, you actually got to kind of meet them and put a name with a face. So it's kind of fun to see people you've talked to, but you've never seen their face. So, and then the Acorns and Threads shop owner, Janine Cheney, gave us a virtual tour of the shop. It was fabulous. The shop is lovely. They have so much stuff. I'm really hoping I can get over to Oregon one of these days and get up there. So, but anyway, we had a really fun day of stitching, learning, talking, and I'm hoping or planning to attend another of their gatherings. I don't know how many they have a year, but it was definitely a lot of fun to attend via Zoom, because you got to see there was over 200 people in attendance. So it was kind of fun. If somebody was talking, they put them up on the screen like this, but you could see everybody else. You could scroll through all the faces. If you've been on a Zoom meeting, you know what it's like. You see all the faces. So it was a lot of fun. I got to see a few local friends here that I know from around here, and got to just introduce myself. And like I said, I got some new followers on my Stitch of the Month, and hopefully some new YouTube or FlossTube followers. So welcome, welcome. So next we're going to talk about Stitch of the Month. So I want to thank everybody that has joined my Stitch of the Month Facebook group. There's a link. There's going to be a link down in the bottom to join, to get to the group so you can join. Oh, I also put a link in for Acorns and Threads for their shop. So down in the comments underneath the video, if you expand my comments, my description of the video, there is a link to Acorns and Threads, to their website, along with other things I'm talking about today. And also, just so you know, I didn't mention it in the beginning, but inside there, there's chapters. I'm creating chapters for each section. So if you only want to watch Stitch of the Month, you can click on that and it'll show the time, the exact time when it starts. I'll put that in at the end, and then you can just click on that and it'll take you right to that section. So you don't have to kind of scroll through if you're just looking for a certain part of the video, or if you just want to see my newest project and my upcoming project. So, but again, I want to thank Sue Donnelly, the founder of Stitcher's Hideaway. She's invited a bunch of people to join. I brought them into the group, let them in, and then quite a few of them decided to stay. So I'm excited. Like I said, we're way over 300 members. So it's growing by leaps and bounds, and I'm really excited. Glad to have you all here. And I just want to remind everybody that there is a free chart in the files section. It's Hearts and Crowns pin cushion. It's all in cross stitch, unless you want to do different stitches, but that's available as a free chart just for members. It's only for members of Stitch of the Month. So the Stitch of the Month, I'm going to be talking about today. Sue Donnelly actually requested that I talk about variations of road stitch. So I included like 6 different variations. Most stitches are not going to have this many variations, but she wanted variations. So, because this is your basic foot road stitch here. There's a couple of basic ones, and there's a few others that I'm going to go over for you. So, like I said, this will be in the files. I've included 6 variations. This stitch is over 4. This is over 6. This is a pinwheel, which is, I really like. It's very cool. This is an octagon stitch. And then there's a rectangle one, which would be nice used if you're doing like a band across. That one would be nice. And also heart shaped. So these are ones I'm going to be demonstrating for you today. Actually, I'm only going to demonstrate 1 or 2 of the stitches because the instructions are pretty good, and they're all basically the same. You kind of start, other than the heart, which is a little more confusing, but you kind of start in the same place and work your way around. So I'm just going to go over a couple of the stitches. So these are the diagrams that are on your Stitch of the Month handout that's going to be available in the files. So I'm just going to quickly go over these, and then I'll demonstrate a couple of the stitches. So, and thank you to Nancy, who suggested I make my cursor bigger so you can see it. I also made it bright yellow. So hopefully you can see it. This is your basic road stitch. This is a small one. It's over 4 threads. Here's one over 6 threads, which I'm going to demonstrate. You can do it over any even number of threads. So basically, you're just going to come up down here in the lower corner. You can actually start in any corner, but if you're doing a lot of them in a row, I would suggest always starting in the same corner. For my demonstration, I'm going to start here in the lower left corner, and you're going to count over 4 threads and up 4 threads and go down at 2. Now the rest of it's pretty easy. So for 3, you just come up 1 thread over from 1, and 4, you go down 1 thread over from 2, and you just continue around 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then at 10, we're going to turn the corners. So then we're going to go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So you're just making a square. So that's your basic road stitch. Again, the over 6 is the same, except you're going to count over 6 threads and up 6 threads to start, and then continue around. And then we have an octagon roads. So on this one, if you're going to start, you need to start, or when you start, you're going to start down here, 2 threads in from the edge. So again, you could start up here in this corner and go around, but we're going to start down here in the bottom left. So you're going to go over 4 threads and up 8 threads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. So there you go. There's your first one. And then 3 and 4 again are 1 thread over, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then for 11, you're going to come up over here. You're going to go 1 thread over from 9 and 1 thread up. And when you go down at 12, again, 1 thread over, 1 thread down. And then for 13, 1 thread over, 1 thread up. And 14, and then continue across straight until you get to step 22. And then For 23, you're going to come one thread over and one thread up from 21 and down for 24. And there's your final stitch. Now, if you were doing a row of these, they would probably share holes. So, and then you have a rectangular rows, which is pretty much the same as a regular rows, except you're going to count many more threads over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 8 threads wide and 4 threads high. So it's very similar to the center of this. So again, count 8 threads over, 4 threads up, and then just continue around. So the next stitches we're going to talk about is the pinwheel rows and the heart-shaped rows. And these are kind of fun. I added these in. These aren't as common, but it's nice to have a little bit different stitch to use sometimes. I'm really looking forward to using this pinwheel rows on a sampler sometime in the future. So again, it's very similar. The pinwheel rows, this version is worked over 8 threads. So you're going to come up here at 1 and you're going to count over 8 threads and up 8 threads and go down at 2. Now the difference between this one is you're actually going to create a giant X for your first stitch. So 1, 2, and you're going to come down here for 3. So it's 8 threads over from 1. So 3, 4, then go back down here for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then 17, 18, 19, 20. Your last 2 stitches are going to be vertical and horizontal. Then I've made the center cross here a different color. In case you want to do it in a different color, it'd be nice to have this, it almost looks like a flower. You could do this in another color to highlight the center, or you could do it in the same color, whichever you prefer. So that's a really fun stitch, and I can't wait to try it in a project. So the next stitch I gave you a diagram for is the heart-shaped rows. And this one's a little more complicated. It's a little different. It's got the same basic premise, but it's a little bit different. So you're going to start 4 threads over from the side of your stitch here where you want your stitch to be, and 1 thread up. And so this one is actually 3 threads. So you're going to come up at 1, count over 3 threads, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 threads. So you're going to go over 3 threads, 1, count over 3 threads, up, and go down at 2. Then your next step is going to be 3 here, which is 1 thread over and 1 thread up from 1. And it's going to go down next to 2 on the right-hand side, so 1 thread over. So there's 4, and then 5 is 1 thread over and 1 thread up from 3, 6, and that ends the top of your heart there. And then you're going to, again, go 1 thread over and 1 thread up from 5. And when you go down to 8, you're going to go 1 thread over and 1 thread down from 6. Then you're 9, 1 thread over, 1 thread up from 7. 10 is 1 thread down from 8. So there's 10, 11, 12 is going to be straight across, 13, 14, 15, and then when you do 16, you're going to go down 1 thread and 1 thread over. And when you do 17, you're going to go up 1 thread and 1 thread over, 17, 18, and then 19 is 1 thread over from 17, 19, 20, and then 21, 22, and then you're going to actually go right back up to kind of give your center of your heart. So here's 22. You're going to go 1 thread over and 1 thread down from 21, 23, 24, and see it shares a hole with 22. And then when you do 25, it's 1 thread over and 1 thread down from 2, or 2 threads over from 23. And you're going to share a hole with step 1 for 26. Then your final step, to give the center of your heart, you're going to come up 1 thread below and in between 23 and 25, and go down 1 thread below all your other stitches here, your 4 base stitches. So that gives you your point of your heart. So I'm going to demonstrate these stitches now. So the first stitch, this is my sample. This is plastic canvas and my little camera, so you can see the stitches up close as I demonstrate them. So the first stitch I'm going to do is the over 6 rows. So again, I've come up here. This is my number 1 stitch. Things are turning here. This is number 1. So I've come up at 1. So I'm going to count over 6 threads and up 6 threads for 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's 2. So I'm going down at 2. So your next step for 3, 4 is 1 thread over from 1 and 1 thread over from 2. And then you just continue around following the diagram. This is a fun stitch. It's not hard. You just need to pay attention to where you're at and make sure you turn the corner when you get there. Which in about 2 stitches, 2 steps, I'm going to be there. So, okay, so I've hit the, oops, this one is the corner. So this is step 13, 14 on your diagram. You can see I'm now lined up with the edge here. So now I'm going to start moving up on the right side and going down on the left side. So, and then you just continue around. I'll tell you, this stitch is beautiful in over dyed threads. It really gives it a lot of depth and dimensions. So I really recommend, of course, I love over dyed threads anyway. So I recommend using over dyed threads for this. Isn't that cool? And it's got some texture to it too. So that was the rows over 6. So the next thing we're going to demonstrate is the heart-shaped rows. This one's a lot of fun. It's a little more challenging, but if you follow the diagram, you shouldn't have any problems. Again, I've come up at 1, and I'm going to count over 3 threads and then up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 1, 2. And then for 3, I'm going to come up 1 thread over and 1 thread up. There's 3, 4. And then we're going to go up this left side. So there's 5 and 6. Now for the next stitch, again on this side for 7, I'm going to go over 1 and up 1. And then when I go down for 8, I'm going to go over 1 from 6 and down 1. So there's 8. And for 9, over 1, up 1. And then on this side, we're going to go down at 10. That was 9. We're going to go down at 10, which is right next to number 8. And then 11, 12, which is a straight stitch right across. And 13, 14, which is 1 stitch down. So you've got this side done. Now you're going to come up for 15. Now on the other side, for 16, you're going to go down 1 and over 1. So that's 15, 16. So for the next stitch, for 17, you're going to go up 1, over 1. So there's 17, down 1, over 1, 18. And then 19 is straight across, 19, and down one, over one, 20, and here's 21 and 22. Now for your next stitch, 23 is one over and one down from 21, 22. And you're actually going to go down next to step 22 in the same hole. And then for 25, 26, you're going to come down over one and down one from step 2, which is actually 2 threads over from the last stitch you did. And this is going to share holes with step 1. And then your final stitch to give you your center of your heart, you're going to be 1 thread down in between 23 and 25 and 1 thread down. And it's going to be 1 thread lower than your other stitches to give you that nice heart shape. Isn't that pretty? Now with a dense color, this would, or heavier threads, this would really cover well. And again, if this was done in over-dyed threads, it'd be beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed these stitches. And next we're going to move on to my new project. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning the road stitch. I'm really excited about this, and thank you to Sue Donnelly for suggesting it. So what stitches do you want to learn? Are there some stitches you would like to learn or would like explained better? I have a lot of stitches that I've diagrammed, and I can go over them for you. I love to learn new stitches. So if you leave a comment below, let me know what stitches you would like to learn, and I'll pick one from the comments. And I know on the Stitch of the Month Club Facebook group, I mentioned that I like queen stitches. And some other people mentioned they love them too. Other people, they don't like them so much. So what stitches do you love? Let me know what your favorite stitches are, and we might go over some of those. So just let me know. This is like a two-way street, so I'm here to do what you want me to do. So next, I'm going to talk about my fabulous flea market finds. I actually did not buy much. The one item I bought, or we bought, that I've used quite a bit is I bought an air fryer. I was so excited. Somebody had one that had barely been used. It was a nice little Cuisinart air fryer. I've used it almost every day now. Now I want a bigger one. So I'm ready to move on after after about 2 weeks of using it. I need a bigger one so I can cook more stuff in it. But anyway, that was my favorite thing I bought. So, well, not my favorite home thing I bought there. The rest of the time there wasn't a lot. I'm not buying a lot of stuff. We closed our antique store. We do have a couple of cases in some antique malls around the area that we have items for sale in. We have a lot of art pottery and different glassware and things like that. Some jewelry for sale, but we don't need any more stock. That's for sure after closing our little antique store. So I don't buy much anymore, but I've been going to retreats, and when I go, sometimes I'm allowed to sell items like my patterns, and I bring in things I found at the flea markets, and new items and used items that I sell. And one of the things that's become really popular is the little milk glass bowls with the lacy edge on them for your scissors. So, and then this is actually a candlestick. This is, if you're into glass at all, this is actually Westmoreland. If you know anything about glass, it's marked inside. So this is actually a candlestick and should sit like that, but it's pretty firm. So I'm going to use it as a scissor holder. And usually I put a flower frog, the little glass flower frogs, in the center. But this one, oh, here's a flower frog. The flower frogs like this. I pick these up wherever I can, but this one, this is so small. I don't know if I have a flower frog small enough to fit in it. So I'm going to have to look. But anyway, this is one of the items I picked up. It's really cute. So that's going to be available at the next retreat I go to. I also have just a single, this is a nice, very nice glass flower frog. And here, let's pair of scissors. People put their scissors in them. And again, here's this, and these hold your scissors also. So I have some of the larger bowls and a lot of flower frogs for sale. Now this time I bought a different kind of flower frog. I've never seen one like this. This one is huge. It's very heavy. It has these nice little feet on it. If you can, there you can see the little feet. It's got some different shaped. It's like you could put it, because they are actually for flowers. So you could put a maybe a group of flowers in this one. I don't know if you could fit more than one pair of scissors, but it's very heavy. And then also while I was looking, I usually don't buy ashtrays, but this one was so beautiful. The man I bought it from said it was Westmoreland also, but I don't know, it's not marked, but it is really nice glass. But it is an ashtray. I can't imagine using something that's pretty for an ashtray, but they did. So when I bought this one, it actually fits in this ashtray really well. So again, you can use it to put your scissors in. I also put, I have one over here that I use that I put pencils and other items in. This would hold really big scissors. And it's very heavy when you put it together. So it's not something you want to travel with. But that's something I'm also going to be selling, or I may just want to keep it. So I really like it. It's very big and very, very different. But the most fun thing I found was I love vintage linens and embroideries. So I found this wonderful pillow. Isn't this sweet? Isn't she beautiful? This is, I don't know if I think it may have been printed. Yeah, it looks like it was printed. The color was printed on and the design was probably printed. Yeah, it looks like the design was printed on, and then the woman just embroidered over top of it. It was a kit. I'm sure she bought the fabric. It says pillow on it. I think you can see that. And I'm going to buy a pillow form for it. A lot of times I have a couple other ones similar to this, and I take them, I put a little pillow in it and I take it to retreats with me because it's really nice for your lower back, because usually the chairs are not very comfortable. But I fell in love with this, and this is one I'm going to keep. So, and you can see that there's the inside, the embroidered inside, but isn't that sweet? It's just so, looks very, I don't know, 40s maybe. It may be later than that, but it's very pretty and very well stitched. It's amazingly well stitched. So those were my fabulous flea market finds. So the next thing I want to talk about is I recently finished a new design I've been working on. I've actually been working on it for years. This is a redo of an original design that I designed many, many years ago, and it's gone through several redesigns. This is the final design, I've decided. This is actually going to be a teaching piece. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a little while. So this is called Fair Virtue. Try and get it close up so you can see it. And this has a lot of specialty stitches in it. So I've changed it quite a bit from the original design that I came up with many years ago. I changed the linen to, this is 32 count toasted almond by Fabrics by Stephanie. And I use Dinky Dyes silks, which were suggested to me by Kimberly Young of Sassy Jack Stitchery. We were at a retreat together in Myrtle Beach, and we both had like a little shop set up. So I was looking for some silks, and she suggested the Dinky Dyes silk. So I took handfuls of these silks and sat down at a table and chose all the colors, and they're just fabulous. These Dinky Dyes silks are amazing. So there's a lot of stitches in this sampler. There's diagonal cross with bar, triple rice, satin stitch, rapid stitch, There's rice stitch, Smyrna, double cross. There's some black work. There's queen stitch, not a lot. There's French stitch, which is a variation of queen stitch and much easier, and canvas lace. And so this is, again, it's called Fair Virtue. This is my, this is the teaching piece. Now the original piece, like I said, this has gone through several iterations. So this is the original, and I did it on pink linen. And this is actually called Honor Thy Mother, which was the verse I came up with first, that I liked first. It says, honor thy mother, for her arms secured thee from 1,000 harms. So I just thought that was really sweet. And a lot of the symbolism in here is for motherhood, and things like the strawberries are the purity, and they often represent the Virgin Mary. So what I did with this one, I put, to honor my mother, Marilyn Jane Dexter Fisher, and her mother, Jeanette Sarah Cook Dexter, and her mother, Eva Adelia Jane Harvey Cook. And then I put my name is down here, her work, and I actually stitched this in 2006. And I've changed a few things. I changed the flower here. I didn't care for the striped flowers much. And this band here, I changed that to something a little prettier. I did this one, and then I was told not everybody likes pink. I can't imagine. I love pink, and it was a nice pale pink. But anyway, and it was also suggested that not everybody wants a sampler for their mother, because this was going to be a teaching piece. And I understand that. So I changed it to Fair Virtue. And this was the next iteration. This one's on 28 count. It's big, a lot bigger. And this is the same verse that's on the one I'm using now. It says, fair virtue, industry, and truth combined, adorn and elevate the female mind. And then it also down here, it says, plant in thy breast, O lovely youth, the seeds of virtue, love, and truth. They charm and bloom when beauty fades. And then again, I have my name and the year I stitched it. Now this one does have the new version of the big rose down here at the bottom. So, and what I've done, this is going to be a teaching piece, like I said, and you will get both verses. You will get the fair virtue and honor thy mother. So you can do whichever you want. I actually taught this to a pilot group many, many years ago. And I know at least one or two of the women got theirs done and put all their mother's names on it, or their four mothers' names. And one actually added another row with 4 ancestors back. So like I said, this is going to be a teaching piece, but the new thing is, I'm going to teach this online. This is going to be only taught online. So I'm waiting for the supplies for the kits. The silk should be here any day. The linen is taking a little longer. I ordered it, but she's on vacation. So I'm going to patiently wait for her to get back from vacation. But once I have all the kits and everything prepared, it will be available on my Etsy shop. And then once you buy the kit, it will be sent to you, and you will get a link to a video like this that I'm doing on Zoom, and I'm going to demonstrate all the stitches for you. And it will be broken out, each section, you know, I will demonstrate all the stitches, and that way it'll be like you're in class, but you can pause the video, try the stitch, and then replay the video if you have to. And the nice thing is with this is, you, like if you go to a 2-day retreat, you go home and you have like a little teeny bit of all this done. I've gone home from a 4-day seminar, and I have this huge sampler and like a little teeny row, because I usually take sampler classes of stitches just down one edge. But this one, you could do the whole top and then move down and do the next row and then move down. So I'm hoping this will work out good. So the kit's going to have the linen, the directions. I'm going to go over those in a minute. charts for both versions. I did do the charts in black and white and color, because some people I know like color, but some of the stitches it's hard to see if it's only in color, so, or only in black and white or whatever. So I'm including both. All the silk threads will be included. And again, there'll be a link to an online video going over all the stitches and demonstrations of all the stitches. So it's something new I'm trying, and I've been thinking about it for a long time, because I've done some other teaching online, and I've taken a few classes online that were like that, where you go to a link and she demonstrates, or the instructor demonstrates the stitches. So I'm really excited about this. And once a kit's available, it's, like I said, it's going to be listed in my Etsy shop. I'll post it online. I am only making 30 kits to begin with. So once those are gone, they're gone. But if I do have enough call for more, I will definitely order more threads, because I had, you have to order a lot of linen, a lot of threads. So I wanted to wait to see how the class went over before I ordered enough for like 50 or 100 kits. So I figured I would start with 30. That's a good start. And again, I'm looking forward to this. I'm so excited. I'm going to start doing the recording later during this month, and I'm hoping to have the kits out in March. It'll just maybe before, it depends on how long it takes me to get the fabric, and of course prepare all the kits and get everything set up. But I'm very excited about that. And let me go over the instructions. Now the instructions, you've seen my stitch diagrams. So the instructions for the class are a lot like that. They're very detailed. I give all sorts of up close diagrams for the different stitches. They're all thoroughly diagrammed with the different colors you use, and the any hints or steps. There's your queen stitch, then the French stitch. So I'm looking forward to this, seeing how it goes. Here's the alphabet and things for personalization. Now here is the color chart. I'll show you the color chart. My pages are stuck together. There's the color chart, and it's very clear. I try to make them as big as possible so you can see them. And again, here's the black and white. Each chart is 3 pages. So there's color and black and white. So you can use whichever is easiest for you. Here is also on the Honor Thy Mother, the rest of the sampler is exactly the same. But here is your chart for Honor Thy Mother. So you can see where you can personalize it to say, to honor my mother, and put her name in, and her mother, and her mother. And all that is done over one thread. And then there's little motifs you can add at the end to fill in. But I'm really excited about this. I hope you are too. Let me know if you're interested. Like I said, it's going to be listed on Etsy, but if there's some of you who want it immediately, let me know, and I'll let you know first when it's posted on Etsy, so you can jump in there and get the kit. Like I said, right now it's going to be limited to 30, and I'm hoping that people really like it. That I love traveling and teaching, but sometimes it's hard, especially right now. But it's hard to find a group big enough to bring me in, because they have to pay the expenses and things like that. I do submit a lot of these to like EGA, and I've taught for EGA quite a few times, Embroiderers Guild of America. I've taught for them at various seminars, and I've taught for just guilds. I've taught for the Northwest Sampler Guild in Seattle and other guilds. I've taught online for the guild live over Zoom. A lot of you have done that. I've taught classes live. I've taught one day, and I actually taught a 3-day seminar online over Zoom. So it works out really, really good, because I can demonstrate using my camera, and it may almost be easier. I'm liking this camera a lot to demonstrate stitches. I have taken it to in-person classes also, so I can project it up on the wall or up on the screen, the big how to do the stitches. So I don't have to go to each person and try and demonstrate. This will actually show how the stitches work. So I'm hoping that you will love this as much as I do, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I hope to hear from you. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the latest sampler I'm working on. So my current project, I'm very, very excited about. I'm reproducing a sampler from 1709. It was stitched by Sari Outfield. I get the feeling her name was probably Sarah Outfield. A lot of times back in those days, they really didn't know how to spell their own names. And Sari was probably Sarah Outfield. But I purchased this sampler quite a few years ago online. I got it from Madalena Antiques and Collectibles. They're in the United Kingdom. I had it shipped to me in the frame from England, which cost a fortune, but I really wanted the frame. I wanted it to still, I don't think it's the original frame, but I wanted it in the frame. But when I got it, I was looking at it very closely. I was debating on whether or not to unframe it, just, because I like to do that. But as I was looking at it under a magnifier, I realized there was live insects in there, inside the frame. I don't know if they were termites or what they were, or bugs, some kind of fabric beetle or something. So yeah, I took it out of the frame at that point. It took me 2 hours to unframe it because it was nailed to a board inside the frame. It was actually nailed to a board. In a minute, I'm going to show you the damage that was caused by that. But I just, like I said, I took my time, and I actually kept, it had all these, they were old nails. I mean, you can tell they were like, I don't know if they were handmade, but they were the old square nails, and it was nailed to a board and then inside this very narrow frame. So I took my time and just gradually pulled it out of the frame. And when I did and turned it over to see the back of it, I was amazed at the difference. The pictures don't do it justice. Even seeing it on screen, it's not going to do it as much justice. So again, this was stitched by Sari Outfield in 1709. And you can see it's very long. The sampler is about 7 inches wide and about 38.5 inches long. It's stitched on about 46 count linen using silk. And I have it all charted and diagrammed. Well, most of it diagrammed. Some of the stitches I haven't diagrammed yet. But it is, the hardest part is some of the areas of the sampler are stitched over 3, which is very common in those days. Stitched over 3 threads. This area here, I'll show you closer, is actually stitched, it's Algerian Isla over 4 threads. Other areas, and then the next area is stitched over 3 threads. There's a lot of black work, double running. You can see the little boxer guys. Those are stitched over 4 threads. So it was very much a challenge to try and chart this, because usually charts, when you do them, they're all over the same amount of threads. But when some of them are over 3 threads, some are over 2 threads, some are over 4 threads, I couldn't make just one big chart. So I actually broke it into sections. So there's 10 sections. I will admit I did not chart the reticella work on the bottom or the lace work. I'm not knowledgeable enough to do that. So I'm actually stopping the sampler with this beautiful band here. But so anyway, it's a lot of fun. The sampler, the alphabet, there's several alphabets. They're stitched in cross stitch, eyelet stitch, and satin stitch, which is beautiful. There's other stitches in here, excuse me, satin stitch, diagonal cross, and detached buttonhole. And I have them all diagrammed except the detached buttonhole. I'm still working on that. I'm going to give you a close-up view of the sampler here with my camera in a minute, but I just wanted to talk about some of the other things with the chart. So here, this is kind of rough because I'm actually using it. This is section 1. This is done over 3 threads, and I'm doing it in black and white and color. I'm starting to do that a lot now. So I've got each section marked and then the amount of threads in that section. So here's section 2. This is what I'm working on right now. And I'll show you that where I'm at on the sampler, but you can see where it transitions here. This is grayed out. This section's done over, well, they're eyelets, they're done over 4, but it's charted over 2. So that's section 2. And then each section, like I said, is diagrammed separate. This is an alphabet done with satin stitch. There's a little bit of black work down here in the bottom, but it's mostly cross stitch and satin stitch. And then this section is her name. It says, Sari Outfill is my name, and with my needle I wroth this same, not the same, this same, and wroth, not wrought, wroth. And then she has a year in here, 1709. But when she got down to the bottom, she must have finished it in 1710. And she actually has a year 1710 also in the bottom. So, but each section, like I said, is diagrammed out separately. There's separate instructions for every section. So like I said, it's a challenge, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm doing it on 46 count Bristol linen, which I actually coffee dyed it. I had a couple different colors and I didn't like either one of them really. So I coffee dyed the white, or actually it was antique white, but to me it was bright white. It was too white. This one's fun because it's black work on this side and cross stitch on the other. So, but it's so far, it's been a real fun stitch, challenging, stitching over 3 threads when you're not used to it. But here's, see where you can see it. I'm working away at it. I just got into the eyelet sections. It's, which is fun because it's not as hard to count. Counting over 3 is a little more of a challenge. I only had to take out a few letters that I messed up. It's easy to skip and go over 4 because it is 46 count. This linen is very nice though. It's, the holes are not real tight, so you can see, of course I'm using, on top of my glasses, I'm using +5 magnifiers. So that helps also. The hard part about this was to figure out how big it needed to be, because with a regular chart, you've got it all on one page and they're all usually 2 stitches per square. So you can figure it out. But I actually had to go through and figure out each section, how many threads high it was, and add it all together. The sampler at its widest point is 312 threads, not stitches, threads. So, and the length is 1,678 threads. That's fabric, linen, threads. That was how I had to calculate it. According to my calculations, which were counted several times, I'm hoping it's right. But that was the challenge, is to figure out how big is this sampler going to be. I had a general idea because the original was the same, basically the same count. I think it may not be quite as even weave because this is 46 even weave. I think the sampler is 46 one way and maybe 47 or 48 the other, because it's a little bit coming out a little bit smaller. But I can show you a comparison to the original here. So I had to calculate it on the number of threads. And so 312, and I divided that, this is 46 threads to the inch. So I divided it by 46. So 312 divided by 46 is about 6.5 inches wide. I think it's 6.8 inches wide approximately. And then the 1,678 threads is about 36.5 inches. And I'm hoping when I get to the bottom of this, I'm hoping it comes out because I've got it all wrapped up. So here is, let me hold this up so you can see. This is the original next to the sampler I'm doing. So it's pretty close to the same width. You'll notice she didn't leave 3 inches around. I mean, they pretty much, this is a really tight hem stitch around the edge. Very, very tiny hem stitch around the edge. I may try and it's maybe 5 or 6 threads wide, maybe more. I haven't looked at it that close, but oh, that's the back. And so it's pretty close. It's going to be pretty close to the same size. But so this is the sampler. These are the silk threads. I'm using Belsois Classic Colorworks silk. They had the best colors for this sampler. This is how I got hooked on silks. I walked up and touched one skiing and went, oh my God, and ended up buying a bunch of silk. And this is a 12 strand silk. So it comes 5 yards on a skein, but it's 12 strands. And like DMC is 6 strands, this is 12 strands. So they're not cheap, but you're getting twice as much thread also. And on this, I'm only using 1 strand. On the 46 count, hers is a little heavier. Her silk may have been a little heavier, but I tried using 2 strands and it was too much. I did not like it, but I just love the colors. And I matched these to the colors on the back of the sampler. So they're not so faded as on the front. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to change screens and I'm going to pull up my camera again, and I'm going to show you some close-up pictures of the sampler because I really want you to be able to see it, because just showing it on screen doesn't show the details like the camera will. So hang on and we'll show you up. Okay, here we go. This is the top section. It still doesn't show the colors as well. The colors are just beautiful. Of course, this is the front and it's pretty faded. And again, I was amazed when I turned it over and you can see how much brighter these colors are on the back. This is a really super bright green here, or yellow. It's kind of a, yeah, it's yellow, definitely a yellow. I'm using cake. Cake is the color, the silk color I'm using, and it's a nice bright, well, it doesn't look very bright on there, but it's a nice bright color. But this is the back. And I'm just going to move down. See, let me try and zoom in a little bit. There. Focus that. Okay, this is where I'm at. I'm doing this section right here, and this transitions. This section here is over 3 threads. This section here is over 2. It's charted over 2. It's actually over 4 because eyelet stitches are done over 4 threads. So there's the eyelet section, and it's just beautiful. Next, we get into the satin stitches. Isn't that lovely? Satin stitches. And then again, here, you can see, and you see here, she included, these are initials, I-O, or it could be J. They interchanged I and J. There is no J in the alphabet, it goes from H-I-K, and there's also no U. So it's, let me get this out of the way. It's S-T-V-W, or that could be a U. I think they were used interchangeably. But you come down here, and these are initials. These are probably family members. I-O, S-O-E-O. And again, here she adds initials I-O, E-O, H-O. Move that over. S-O-E-O. So I probably can use that to try and do some more research. I have to really check into, do some more research on this. Also, I wanted to point out this unusual Q. Isn't that strange? P-Q-R-S. And she did it that way in a couple different places. Here's the Q again. I just think it's really unique. This is really a lot of fun, and I'm hoping everybody else will enjoy it as much as I do. And again, here's more initials, I-O, E-O, H-O, S-O. And here is her name, where she says Sari Outfield. See, she spells it, there's the U, which is a V, O-U-T-F-I-L. But like I said, when I was doing research, I did find a Sarah Outfield, and that may be her. So I need to get back into doing some research on this. But she says, Sari Outfield is my M-Y name, and with my needle, I wrought this same 1709. So, and then we get into the little boxers. I just love these. If this will help. That helped a little bit. These are called boxers. They're very traditional. So make that a little bit smaller. Very traditional on samplers of this age. Two little guys, and they're bringing flowers or plants, whatever, to this flower in the middle. And then we have a little satin stitch, and then some double running. And this section here, you see these are detached buttonholes, which I enjoy doing. I need to figure out how to diagram it. I'm still working on diagrams for that. And then, so that's double running in the middle. This is all double running or Holbein, black work, whatever you want to call it. And then we go into the next band, which again, and these are all stitched over 4 threads. These areas are over 4. And then we have this, which is interesting because she has black work and cross stitch next to each other. And again, here's your detached buttonholes in the flowers and the acorns. I just love this with the flowers and the acorns. I love this so much. I'm so happy with this sampler. Can you tell I'm excited? And then here's some more double running. You see the brighter colors on the back. That's why I charted it. See the green? Get this up here. See the green here? And then the green here, the difference. What a difference. And this area is done in diagonal cross stitch and diagonal cross stitch, which I enjoy doing. And then this, again, oh, can't see that. Let me put a piece of paper under it. This shows the beautiful white work, which, like I said, I do not do. So unfortunately, that will not be included in the instructions. Now, I wanted to show you this piece of paper here. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see the discoloration on the paper. This paper was actually under that section of the sampler where it was nailed to the board. This piece of paper was underneath it. And you can actually see the designs that were stitched in each section. That's why you want to make sure your items are posted on acid-free paper. Have somebody reputable frame your pieces and use acid-free paper. I get the feeling this linen was much lighter than it is now. It's very brown with age, which is common, but it's very brown. I went with the, I didn't want to make it really dark like this because I don't think the original was as dark as this is. It doesn't look like a natural, what they call raw linen. It doesn't look like that, but it is a dark linen. And this is, so I like I said, I coffee dyed mine. And I think this is closer to the color it was originally. So you can see it's fairly close to the same size. This looks bigger here, but so it's just like an off-white. And the instructions are going to have how I coffee dyed it. You can choose any linen you want, of course, when you stitch it, whenever I get done with it and make the pattern available. I mean, on 46 count, it's going to be almost 7 inches wide, 6.8 inches wide, and about 36.5 inches long. So this is, if you do it on anything bigger than 46 count, it's going to be huge, very big. And it's really not as small as you would think. Like I said, I use a lot of magnification because my glasses are not set up for close-up work. And it's done over 3 threads. So if you figure it that way, 46 count over 3 threads is just over 15 stitches per inch. So it's really not that tiny, but I'm enjoying it. It is kind of a challenge. It didn't take as long as I thought it would to do the over 3 and get used to it. I'm not as used to it as going over 2. It's not as automatic, but I still have to count. The hardest, not hard, but what takes the longest is every letter is a different color. So you have to stitch and then rethread and then stitch. The fun part was doing these bands that are more than one color. Also, you can see here, you can see where it was nailed to the board. These are nail holes that have eaten away, the rust has eaten away the fabric. So that's why you need to be careful how your needlework is framed. I would not use sticky board. That's just my, not everything is going to last as long as this. I don't know about our dyes, how long our dyes, the dyes they use to dye our fabrics will last. Some colors are more susceptible to fading. The darker, like the browns, a lot of times and reds will like fall apart because of the natural dyes that were used to dye them. So, but just, like I said, be very careful how your items are framed if you want them to last for hundreds of years, and be sure to sign all your pieces too, or at least put your name inside of the frame. But that is Sari. So I'm going to keep working on her, and I will share updates as I work on her, and maybe each time I'll show you an update on where I'm at and how I'm doing, and that'll keep me motivated to keep stitching away at her. So again, that was Sari Outfield. I'm looking forward to having her ready. I don't know when she's going to be ready for anybody to stitch, but I'm having fun, and I hope other people will too. And thank you again for viewing my FlossTube video. I'm really enjoying this. I'm enjoying sharing some of my antique samplers with you. If you need any information, I've included my email in the comments below, next to below the description. That's in there. You can contact me. I have a link to my Etsy shop. I have a link to Acorns and Threads and Madalena, which is the company I bought the sampler from. Their samplers are pretty pricey, but maybe it's will be inspirational There's also a link to the Stitch of the Month group, which I hope you will join. The file for this stitch, the road stitch variations, will be in the files for the Stitch of the Month group. You just have to request to join and answer a couple questions, or real simple questions. I've already had a couple people try and get in, which they were obviously not stitchers. So I'm being very cautious. We don't need anybody coming in and spamming us, or men trying to pick up women, or anything like that. I think if you're trying to be picked up, or you can find somewhere else to go. This is going to be about needlework and Morning Glory Needleworks and me. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you on February 15th.